Like I mentioned before, this comes with different kind of configurations. So first of all, this comes with the Intel Core Ultra 9 processor, the 885H. So it has like the GPU, that is the Intel Arc graphics. So, and when it comes to the Intel graphics part, I must say that I personally rather see like an NVIDIA chipset in combined with the Intel CPU. So we have all kinds of configurations. So having over here 16GB with 2 DIMMs, having the storage capacity 1TB, and this is the European version. Okay, but let's do a quick unboxing and let's see what we're getting inside the package. So first of all, it does comes with a very nice weight to it, and it gives like an overall, like say, pleasant unboxing experience. In here we're finding the mini PC, and this thing looks absolutely great when combined with the metal case, or at least like some parts of the design is metal, but some are plastic, and this thing looks kind of cool. Yeah, when it comes to the display itself, when I'm looking on the box, yeah, I do have like a different like idea about it, but it is a tiny display on top that we're going to be looking at later on. So it's kind of cool having over here the dual microphone and the camera. So yeah, what you can actually do is putting this thing on your table and use this thing for just a chit chat through Skype or other programs. But let's see what are we having more inside of the package. It comes with the mounting bracket, and this thing is fully made out of metal, so what you can actually do is mounting this thing on your desk, and that is one of those cool features you're getting with this. And in here we're finding all of the other parts in combination with the HDMI cable and very nice beefy power supply, the power cord European zone for me, and in here we're finding the metal itself. So first of all, with a slow boot time may cause by, and here having like tips and tricks and stuff like that. The manual that comes with it in different languages, but it's just the way how you need to configure everything and how you need to disassemble it. But also going to be looking at it today, how we can even upgrade this thing. The power supply from Mini's forum. So in here we're finding all of the information regarding this. So this is just a 19-volt, let's say, adapter. Okay, so when it comes to the back over here, we're finding 2 RJ45 ports. We're having a USB Type-C connection over here saying that it is USB 4. You know what I'm going to be doing? Let's switch it around. That makes it a little bit easy to read everything. So we do have a fast USB port over here and a normal USB port. In DisplayPort HDMI, we're having the input for the power supply over there. We're having 5GB of LAN, USB 4, USB-C, and having here the OQ link. So what is not disappointing, that this thing comes with a lot of, let's say, USB ports, having another 2 over here, and another USB Type-C. Over here we're having the option for using this, I'm guessing this is the microphone, and then we're having in here the one for using an external microphone or a headphone jack. So that is kind of interesting. So we do have a lot of configurations when it comes to, let's say, the box itself. So also interesting that we do have some configurations on this that I've never seen before, or not many times some. So first of all, the on-off switch also have the fingerprint, so that's kind of cool, and just a normal clickies button. So at the right, finding an input for an SD card, so that is very convenient if you need to do a lot of editing like I do, and you can just have a slider over here, and this slider is for the webcam. And yeah, you can just actually like slide this front of the camera if you don't want to use it. That's kind of cool, to be honest. But this is the overview of every single port you're getting with this particular model, the Ataman. Yeah, I think that is a kind of cool, let's say, concept. And when you're looking at the bracket, yeah, the idea is kind of interesting. Yeah, it's absolutely something new. Let's see if I can put it in. There we go. And we can just put it on your desk. So when it comes to the Ataman, the configuration is quite interesting. A configuration you don't see very often. This thing is made for basically putting next to your monitor itself. But let's power it on. And let's take a close look at also the display. So you can just see what it's going to be booting up, showcasing the Ataman logo. And I really love these details. It's kind of cool. So this is a general idea of the Ataman himself, if you just want to use it. So you're going to be using it.
Set up your device using a screen reader. Turn on narrator by pressing Windows plus Control plus Enter. For more accessibility features, press Windows plus U.
Oh, do shut up, please. But the first thing we're going to be doing is setting up Windows and all the shenanigans, and then let's see in the software how will it work with the touchscreen itself. You can see that the display doesn't do anything, so let's do this, let's say, crazy setup. So next thing we're going to be doing is setting up our, let's say, language. I'm going to be using it in English, but I also have all kinds of languages. That is something not of a common thing. I've seen some of the Chinese, like say mini PCs, do have the problem that we don't have Dutch, so we need to load it up later on into Windows itself. Let's set everything up. If you have a Microsoft account, you need to set it up to get everything going. So choose your layout. I don't want to have a freaking second keyboard attached to it. Yeah, we have like the internet connection. I do have internet. Yeah, so it's kind of cool that we still have like limited setup because they are going to be changing it, hoping they're not. You can see you can sell your soul to the Microsoft. Let's call this Etaman. Let's go further. Don't want a password. And let's see, so shut everything off because, oh man, they love to have your data and all that other craziness. Yep, but you're still selling your soul in the beginning. So when everything has been set up, your Microsoft, without a Microsoft account, I do wonder like how it is with the Atom. Man, will this thing actually be booted up instantly after getting into Windows itself? So that's something I'm going to be seeing. I think I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee because this is going to be taking some while. But when Windows is set up instantly, the touchscreen display will work. So let's do a quick overview of that because this is absolutely one of those cool features of the Atom Man. But let's do a quick overview of the menu and what can you actually do. So the touch itself works perfectly. You can just only like touch it a little bit and it will automatically get into the certain option you want to. So let's lower the brightness of the display. That's going to be more convenient of recording. But when you're looking at it, there are a lot of options. So first of all, here on top, we're finding the different kind of, let's say, power you're going to be using. So if you want to have like maximum power, you can just click on here and you can just hear the spinning of the fan into the mini PC, or you can just lower it if you just want to do some browsing. So it's kind of cool that we can just change it out. So what we're actually going to be doing later on is going to get full power because we're going to be testing out a lot of different stuff. Here you can just see the Intel Core 9 885H. And over here, and then having the Intel Arc that showcases the temperatures, how much a load is on there, even the SSD. It says even the brand that it is in Kingston they're using. And over here having the memory itself, having a total of whopping 32 gigabyte. So here you can just even what kind of data is going to be used, how much RPM the fan is. So let's say we're going to be putting this in turbo mode, going back. And here you can see the spinning of the fan going to higher RPM. Brightness, even the volume can be changed out, and we also have the option over here for having the different connections of an overview. So yeah, it's kind of cool what kind of tool we're actually going to be having when it comes to the menu. It's absolutely a very cool, nice addition to this machine. Another thing I don't need to forget is having a clock. So if you just want to have this basic clock in here, you can just mess around with it with the date. You can just press over here. That's actually how it all works. So future-wise, I think it's a very cool addition of the general idea when it comes to the Etaman next to your monitor itself. So this was the display itself on the mini PC. Let's get into the system itself. We'll install some games, applications, and let's see how far we can push this. Is this actually a really cool gaming beast, or is it going to be another disappointment? But how about opening it up? So the downside is you need to remove all of these rubbery feet, otherwise you cannot reach into, let's say, the screws underneath. So that's a little bit of a downside, and I can tell you they are using a lot of good ones when it comes to the rubbery feet. However, let's see, when removing the screws, how everything is when it comes to the quality. So they're using like basic Parkers, they're using these very long screws. So let's remove these so we can remove the bottom part. I was trying to find the right format of the screwdriver. There's another freaking challenge. Okay, so let's be very gentle with this. This is one of the reasons why I always need to be very gentle, because they have been, the reason why they chose is just to get ourselves like the special PCB over here for the extra USB port at the sides. What a horrible construction that is, if you ask me. Okay, so this is the other side of, let's say, the mini PC itself. And they are using even tinier Parker screws in here for disassembly of everything. So, you know, the construction, I'm just going to be honest, I am not a big fan of this. I wish they went for the JMK Tech or other brands that does have like this popping open the hood and you can just swap out the parts with not a lot of, let's say, disassembly. So like the manual also says, you need to get yourself like all of the freaking screws removed, and that way you can actually like get in the machine itself if you need to upgrade something like the SSD. All right, yeah. So these has been removed. You can see there is some movement in here now. So what we can try to do is, no, I will not like actually like remove this because this cooling has been assembled to the NVMe, so you need to be very careful. So let's remove another freaking 6 screws. To be careful about and be always like sure that we disassembled everything. Oh, there we go. Okay, crap, fell one down there. Okay, that's another thing that can happen. Now we can remove the cooling element over there. You can just see this how they assembled everything. Let's remove all of the screws. All right, and let's get my one over there that fell down. That was not a good position. Okay, so this is actually the thing we're getting in the inside. So you do have a very nice overall configuration. So they went for like a very massive cooling element on the SSD or the NVMe, so that's good. So it's interesting, we do have like 2 connection ports over here at the left and at the right. We're using the left at the moment. So I do wonder if there's even like a configuration possible so we can use both of the slots. I'm guessing not. I think you need to choose one of these two. So the fan itself can be removed and can be replaced if there's any problem whatsoever. You can just see this is just a metal bracket around it. You can get into, let's say, the memory over here, the 2 dual channels. So we're not going to be changing anything out of this. And this is the main cooling element. So what I already mentioned before, you need to be very careful with the ribbon cable over here. And yeah, that's it. There's nothing much to see, but you need to do a lot of disassembly for getting into the system itself. And for the people who do wonder, so when it comes to the Minis 4, they are using brands like Kingston. So I think it's very convenient because in the past with the Chinese cheaper models, and I mean particularly the brands that I've reviewed here, they're sometimes using these weird brands and they do have the, let's say, occasion problems. And this is a 1 terabyte, but the specs we have already discussed that before. Alright, so let's get into some Cinebench. In the meantime, we're also going to be checking the temperatures of this thing and the CPU Z, of course, with a wicked nerdy time to begin with. Okay, when it comes with the CPU Z and the specs, wicked nerdy time. Intel Core Meteor Lake, 45 watts of TDP, 7 nanometer technology. The Intel Core Ultra 9 185H. So this is a quite interesting spec list, also when it comes to all of the cores. So mainboard, Shenzhen, I'm not even going to be pronouncing this. Nevertheless, this is some random brand. I have no idea, never heard of it. Memory, 32 gigabyte, having 2 slots of DDR5 5600. Graphics is the Intel Arc. We don't need to do any benching or single thread or whatsoever because I'm already doing this with the Cinebench R23. So as it's running on the background and finishing up the first test, yeah, you can see that this thing is thermal throttling to the 96 Celsius. Yeah, as the package and the P cores are even getting 97 and the E cores 83 Celsius. This is better than I've seen before because some of them were having more problems. However, this is when it comes to the temperatures, this thing sounds like a freaking vacuum cleaner. I think I can even like hear it on the background. But this is what we're getting when it comes to, let's say, the multi-core score, because it's finally done now. Okay, the Cinebench R23 is ready to go to showcase the points. The points for the multi-core is going to be 18,095 and the single core is going to be 1,838. So let's check out the list, and if this is correct, you can just see it has a similarity, or it's slightly powerful than the Threadripper and older CPU. Then for the single core, let's check that out. In here we're having similarities when it comes, or similarities, it's more powerful actually than the i7 11th generation. So when it comes to the specs, this is actually the thing that we're getting, and the MP ratio over here that can be compared with some other ones. But how detailed this is and also how trustful it is, that is something of a debatable situation. But let's move on to the Windows 3-dimensional games. One of them is Crash Bandicoot, and this is a great example how, I can say, maybe disappointing this is. So having full HD, but do have everything set to off, no anti-aliasing, and everything has been set to low. You can see that the GPU is already getting into the 90%. So let's move on and let's play some game, and let's see if we can even have a stable 60 FPS. Okay, so when it comes to Crash Bandicoot, this is a game that can be played on AMD Ryzen chipsets, even on high settings, full at 60 FPS. So when it comes to this Intel chip, we do have 60 FPS, but we need to make concessions when it comes to the quality itself. And what I understand of this, it has simply to do with the GPU. You can fix the problem by using an external GPU and getting a way better overall performance on higher resolutions, and maybe also when it comes to, let's say, more overall better quality, like details. But let's see what Dead Alive 6 does. And you can see that it doesn't hit the full 60 FPS. Where this game is still playable, what we can actually do is having the option to set this game to a lower resolution, maybe 720p, and there we're having overall better performance, or connect an external GPU, because this thing is capable of doing that. That will be another solution. Personally, not a big fan of it, because I would love to see what we can do when it comes to, let's say, the CPU GPU inside of the tiny box.